My name's Simon Hester. I've lived in Tottenham since about 1990-1991. I'm a socialist activist and has been for many, many years. I'm now 52 years old. I've got a daughter at Parkview Academy, and I've been involved in many local issues over many years through the Chestnuts Park refurbishment issues through to, I was a parent governor at Woodlands Park Infant School for a few years before it became Chestnuts Primary, involved in campaigns around St Anne's Library and various other issues. I'm standing as a councillor in St Anne's Ward for Harringay Council because I think all the major parties have failed us. None of them have solutions to the problems faced by working class people in Tottenham, and I think I can help make a difference.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your vision for Harringay is over the next 5 to 10 years, and perhaps what one thing you think is more important than any other, and what you do to see that it's achieved?
The big issue today, and the big lie in this whole general election, which also should dominate the local elections, is the question of cuts in public spending. All the major parties are agreed that public spending has to be cut. They all say they're going to ring fence the NHS and bits of education, although we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. That means that for most of the rest of the public sector, including local government, parks, roads, street cleaning, social services, housing, and all the rest of it, are facing massive cuts. And I think over the next year or two, this is going to completely dominate. This issue of cuts is going to completely dominate British politics. It'll completely dominate the future of Harringay and of Tottenham. And my vision, if you like, my aim over this period of time is to mount the largest amount of resistance possible to the cuts that are being proposed by all the major parties and will be loyally implemented by any of the councillors who are elected from the Lib Dems, the Tories or Labour. In St Anne's Ward it's likely to be Labour. They're most likely to win, obviously, depending on how people feel about the argument. It seems to me the big lie is that there doesn't need to be these public spending cuts. If the government decided to close the tax loopholes, they could raise £120 billion a year and deal with the debt. They could cancel things like Trident and ID cards. They could pull out of Afghanistan and Iraq. All these are big political questions, are costing a huge amount of money, let alone the bailing out of the banks to stabilise the banking system, which is the cause of the cuts that are coming. So my vision is not a vision of a green and pleasant land and of everybody smiling and happy. My vision is actually of quite the next 2 or 3 years of quite severe crisis in the public sector. And in Harringay, that is going to be very serious. The biggest employers are in the public sector: Harringay Council, St Anne's Hospital, College of North East London. The public sector is by far the biggest employer. Huge numbers of people are on benefits of one form or another: incapacity benefit, the pension, unemployed. Tottenham has the highest unemployment in London. And if the cuts are coming in all those areas, then a large number of people in this area are going to be very, very badly affected. My partner is on a list for voluntary redundancy, a teacher. I think that's going to happen to a lot of people, and we either take it meekly, accept pay cuts and redundancies, or we start to fight back. And I intend to try and lead as much as I can, organise as much as I can to fight back.
Okay, thanks for that, Simon. Anything else you'll be focusing on?
There are some particular local issues that I have been involved in and would like to see dealt with. They are quite minor in many ways, but I think they affect the quality of life quite a lot. I would like to see there's been a lot of work done in the parks, in Chestnuts Park and Downhills, Lordship Rec and so on. I would like to see proper full-time park keepers in the parks. That is part of a strategy I believe could be used to combat unemployment and the recession. The council could be employing far more people to be a permanent presence in the parks, to make them better, to be able to manage sports facilities better, provide youth facilities, and so on and so forth, but also make it feel safer for everybody on the as they use the parks. Incidentally, I think one of the problems we have in public spaces, particularly in London, but I think this is probably true elsewhere, is that far too many public sector jobs have gone that were in the public spaces, like park keepers, like street cleaners, like lollipop men and ladies. They've all been reduced massively, including things like bus conductors and guards on trains, all those areas where people feel insecure and feel threatened. Part of the reason for that is because the public sector disappeared from those public spaces over the years. So I'd like to see the council trying to rebuild that kind of thing, do that better, although that will of course take money. I would like to see a shift, big shift, in the way roads and transport are organised in Harringay. I think there should be a blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limit right across Harringay, on all the roads in Harringay. I'm a cyclist, and I would like to see much better protection for cyclists and proper cycle lanes certainly on the major routes. Things have improved, but I think it could be a lot better. And the third thing was youth facilities. One of the problems we have, there's 50% youth unemployment amongst black people in this country, and this affects Tottenham very badly. I think that we need proper youth clubs, not short-term projects that are going to be here for a summer or a year or tick a few boxes, but proper youth clubs based in all the parks and in youth centres, so that there's a hell of a lot more for young people to be able to do for themselves.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you're going to stay in touch with what the voters, the local people in St Anne's Ward want, and make sure that you're delivering to that? That's
a good question and an important question, because often, well, invariably, councillors and the MP, for that matter, disappear and they're very difficult to track down. I take it as read, I mean you should take it as read, that I would hold regular surgeries, possibly weekly, certainly monthly, and very well advertised. I would seek, I think, to not wait for people to come to me in terms of surgeries. I should imagine that very few people come to surgeries because most councillors don't have them, or if they do have them, they don't do much about it. And as a lone voice in the council, I will be a lone voice. I won't be running the council. I won't be a major figure, a major player in the council. I will be a lone voice. So my ability to get things done in that sense might be limited, or will be limited. I think so I have to do more than just wait for people to come to me. I would have to go to them. And I think public meetings are one way of doing that. I think a proper newsletter, monthly or maybe bi-monthly, is what I would consider reasonable to keep people in touch with what I'm thinking and what I'm doing, but more importantly, what they can do about the parks or the roads or whatever the issues of the day are. Another good set of issues, by the way, are more Pelican crossings. There definitely needs to be one on Black Boy Lane. That's been a bugbear of mine for 20 years. I should imagine that I would want to set up a website or a Facebook page or whatever, although to be honest with you, I'm not 100% convinced that all this IT is as much as it's cracked up to be, but I mean, I'll go along with it. If there's a demand for that, then I might even set up Twitter, who knows. But I would certainly look to be a proactive person looking for people to come with their problems, rather than someone looking to further their career within the council, which I think is a big problem for most people when they elect their councillors.
And finally, Simon, is there anything else you'd like to add you haven't had a chance to say so far?
As I said, the big issue is the economic crisis and who's going to pay for the mess and who's going to pay for the bailing out of the banks. There's a spin-off to that. It's starting to happen now, it's getting worse, and it could get a lot worse. If the government doesn't take the necessary steps to look after the interests of ordinary people, and they continue to bail out the banks, and there's pay cuts or cuts in public spending, or people lose their jobs, they're going to be looking for a reason for that. And I think the issue of racism and blaming scapegoats could become quite serious. We're seeing the rise of the BNP at the moment. I think that's something we should watch very, very carefully and be prepared to act quite quickly if that kind of politics starts to get a bit of a foothold. So we need to fight back against the effects of the recession and the way the government's been dealing with it so far. It doesn't seem to me that the future government is going to be much better, probably worse. We have to get organised, and we have to go for maximum unity of all of us to protect our interests.